much of anything here today.
And why the millennial generation is starting to give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him, and 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
The Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability.
RTD Live Talk. We are streaming live now. And tonight's conversation topic is something a little bit different. I figured that I would switch it up slightly and do something that I have not done yet. And so to even this year start off somewhat on a less exciting note because of all the things happening around us. And so tonight's topic, I want to actually find out what are some things that you're looking forward to in 2019. Or better yet, what are some things that possibly might even be exciting you amongst all the other things going on that that's obvious, things that are not necessarily good news, but yet just reality. So I wanted to, go on some things around that subject matter there. So as always, wanted to give it a second to find out who's being notified and who's not being notified. And so today I did something a little bit different. I attempt to get more people connected. And so I actually sent out a text via the little text service I set up, which is, small little list there. And then the email list as well, in hopes of getting more people plugged in this evening. So once again, I did not receive a notification that we're streaming. So I assume a lot of other people may not have gotten one as well. So it's good to say that we may not be getting notifications anymore from YouTube. And so for those that want to plug in, you might have to do it directly yourself, or what I'm feeling that I might have to try to do is to become more consistent and just schedule it and do the best I can to actually start at 9:30 on the dot. And so we got Delonzo said he received the text. And so that's what I'm going to do, man. I'm going to try to be on time as best I can, give or take the circumstances. But if I'm not able to, it'd be good to be able to send out a reminder or text to people so they can be informed as to when we're going live, just so people aren't waiting and anticipating I'm not available or something. So that being the case, so we got a couple people who did the texting messaging, so it worked for those people there. Sent out a couple emails as well. So we're going to keep moving regardless. Can't cry over spilled milk, as they would say, or as you would say. So with that being the case, tonight's subject matter, as we give a chance for more people to log in. Once again, my name is Mike, the host of RTD Live Talk. And if we have any new viewers out there, any people willing to share what's on their mind, feel free to do so in 2 ways. We got the chat right here where you can let me know where you're watching from. We'd love to welcome you if you're a first-time visitor or first-time guest within the community. Want to make sure to give you a shout out. And then more importantly, if you're bold enough and you want your voice to be heard, there's a number above my head, 1-833-LIVE-RTD. That's for you to call and to let your voice be heard. So with that being the case, I want to welcome a couple people, Jen, Delonzo, Sweet Jones, Kenneth, Jeff. How you guys doing, my friend? And so for those that are watching now, what are some things that you're looking forward to in 2019? I'm curious to find out. I can share with you a couple things that have me, more so curious and optimistic about this year, despite all the things happening around us. And so anybody want to volunteer first in the chat, feel free to let me know. And then also, want to get your thoughts on whatever else is happening out there in the news. I did that article earlier about what's happening in Venezuela, so we can definitely touch on that as well, because it's not coincidental that it's, as of right now, we have so many problems in our own country, but yet also having issues in that we're involved in below the equator. And so we got a call. Let's find out what's going on with this one. Let me get plugged in here. Get plugged in. And take a call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Make sure we plugged in. Hello, anybody there? Give me 1 second here. That's one of the additional headaches of having to make sure I send out text messages and things of that nature, making sure everyone gets plugged in and everything gets turned on. So let me try a different outlet. And so it looks like I lost that call, but feel free to give me a call back and we'll try to get you on here and let you find out what's on your mind. So that being the case, the speaker's on, so feel free to give me a call back and I'll try to get you on here. As always, Thursday evening. So I want to make Thursday evenings more of a laid back, relaxed feel. And so this is the last live stream schedule for the week. I'm going to try to stick to that Monday through Thursday. And so this is more so like an open mic call in. Let me know what's in your mind. And more importantly, what does excite you. And so Kenneth, I'm not sure if that's something that's really, something to celebrate or get excited about, but you have the fall of America. And so the fall of America probably won't really be comfortable, but I'll let you, stick with what excites you or what you're interested in in seeing. And so let me see here. Jeff, we got an article off the bat from Jeff. Let's see what this article is talking about. And so it says from Zero Hedge, it says White House drafting national emergency proclamation to include $7 billion for a border wall. Interesting. So it looks like our current president is very serious about getting this wall built, or this barrier, as he puts it. And hopefully, we'll see what this is all about. But once this thing is done, this is not the last issue we're going to have. So this right here is just something that's newsworthy. But yet, say if they end up getting a wall like, that he wants and we need, then what's going to be the next topic of discussion? Migration, the DACA, ain't no telling. But give you an idea what's going on. It says the White House is drafting a plan to declare a national emergency along the southern U.S. border, which would provide $7 billion in potential funds of President Trump's long-promised border wall. So never mind the idea that the Mexicans were supposed to pay for the wall, but they're going to pay for it. They're going to make up for it in that NAFTA deal. We'll see. It says Trump has not ruled out using his authority to declare a national emergency and direct the Defense Department to construct a border wall as Congress and the White House fight over details, according to CNN. And so we got a quote here. It says, is this what caving looks like? Trump says there are many options to get funding for the wall. Trump says he wants a pro-rated down payment on the wall. A down payment on the wall. It says Trump says he won't be happy with a stopgap lacking wall funds. Yeah, man. Senator, I did something to help the president, though. I found him a wall. I think it will work on the border. Yeah, so once again, emergency measure, man. This is serious news, because if this does go through, then the question will be how will the Democratic side of Congress respond? And I imagine they're going to go tit for tat, and they're going to respond back in some unproductive way that's going to further along or worsen this government shutdown situation. So whether he does emergency measure or they respond back or retaliate, it's going to be a left versus right beef going on probably for the rest of this year. And this is just the beginning of the year. That's the thing. We're not out of January yet, and this stuff is still going on. And so as of tomorrow, it's the second week of federal employees not being paid. And I saw an article mentioning that it looks like the Coast Guard or Navy, either one of them, will not receive pay. And so the idea that, servicemen and women are not being paid, and not only the other workers that are, yeah, man, this is definitely not some good news. Definitely not good news. So not much excited about that, especially if you're on the receiving end or not receiving. So, but anyway, as always, people, welcome to the chat. Let's see what's going on here. It says, salute, Brother Mike. How you doing, Bang Chief? We got not excited about it, just expecting it. Kenneth, yeah, I understand, man. I think we all are. And so it all depends on what level of a degree of a fall or the collapse or the end of an empire will we experience initially. Will it be slow and pick up pace, or will it be just overnight dropping off a cliff and waking up to, bank holidays and, Black Fridays and Mondays and Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays and Sundays? And yeah, that's going to be what we don't know. It says, looking forward to saving more money and prepping for the hard times to come. Downhill from here, I think. Clayton, man. Yeah. Looking forward to saving more money and prepping. And so those are definitely two viable options. And one of them for me is in the next couple of months, really just learning and exploring on different ways of, as the caller the other day, Pete, who I keep getting his name wrong, we're going to connect and have him on. But as he mentioned about having more sources of income would be ideal for me. So not necessarily concerned with saving directly, but more so increasing new opportunities of revenue coming my way is what I'm trying to, wrap my mind around and focus on, and, have those things in place so that I'm not dependent solely on just a couple or a few. I want as many as God is willing to send my way. And so we got Scott. How you doing, my friend? Hernan, how you guys doing, man? So the question is, for those that are watching, we're still early. Did you receive a notification? Because I did not receive one. And so once again, that's 3 days in a row of not receiving notification. But I guarantee you, like the last 2 days, once I hit in and the stream and the live stream stops, then I get a notification saying that I'm no longer live. And so what's up with that, man? So as always, gave you guys the option for those that want to get informed. I'm going to try to be here at 9:30, but if I can't, definitely you might want to sign up for the notifications. As of now, there's one viable option, which is the email. And so rethinkingthedollar.com, put your email address in. I'll shoot you a message like I did today. And then there's a text messaging service that I want to use, but after setting it up, I'm only allowed so many texts per month, and then it gets very expensive. So I don't think I'll be using that option that much because it's quite expensive to carry the load of being able to reach thousands of people. So with that being the case, for those that did sign up, you're lucky you're in there early. So, and that option, if you go to the community page, you'll see the option for that. It's text RTD to some number. I can't think of it offhand, but if anybody remember the number, you text RTD to, you'll be signed up and I can shoot you a message there. Okay, let's keep moving. It says Russia, China, and Turkey have been buying gold. Who are they buying it from, and with what currency? Ah, man, good question. So what I would gather and what I've heard from all the gold bugs and people that's joined me on the show is that there are some suppliers. So beyond the smaller central banks and smaller nations that have been raided over the last couple of years, we got the Ukrainian gold up and missing. We got the gold up out of, where's the place? The Gaddafi. Wherever Gaddafi was from, his gold is gone. We got, what other countries have been raided? I think Egypt gold is gone. And so there's several countries that are, not really newsworthy. The powers that be have gone in and raided the central banks. And so that gold has been supplied. And then also all the mining gold, all the gold and silver that's mined for the most part seems to find its way towards the east somehow. And so somehow I think Switzerland is a big player in that because everything seems to go through Switzerland, to where I've heard and been, watching for the last couple of years where looks like all the gold that is gathered and shipped towards the east filters through Switzerland, where they melt it down into their measuring standard of kilograms as opposed to ounces that we use here. So whatever the big bars we use, they want something a little bit more refined to their standards. And so Switzerland is a big player in that as well. So, hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Typo, and I'm calling from Massachusetts.
Typo from Massachusetts. How you doing this evening? Thanks for calling in. And what's on your mind? What are some things that has you, excited or interested in 2019? Anything?
For 2019, first of all, I want to say thank you, and you guys in the chat are just fabulous. I can't tell you how many times I'm writing things down. I want to check this out. Oh, another good idea. So, guys in the chat, thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you for watching and tuning in. But go ahead. Share what's on your mind.
So what's on my mind? To work with possible hyperinflation for a short time while all of this irons out. I actually find myself, I'm not a kitchen person, I'm not a cook, but I'm learning to can vegetables and soups. And and I'm taking a little bit of inventory to see what I can buy now while my money has good buying power.
Yeah.
So that my family can make it through. If for any reason we run into 3 months problem, because I was really interested in seeing how people that were laid off from the government, how many people weren't aware of what's going on.
Ooh, man.
Not, totally not prepared.
That's a good one. I would imagine definitely a majority of them, I would assume. And then what it shows and reveals is that a majority of those individuals might have just been living check to check or living beyond their means, based upon the idea that the job security from the government would always be there, to where they would never suspect a government shutdown, nevertheless an extended one, to where now they're finding themselves in a pinch because they never prepared and thought there was a need to prepare, because they bought into the idea that if you work for the government, you're set for life type of thing, which assuming that after this shutdown ends, perhaps some people might say, hey, perhaps this whole working for the government isn't as safe as it was cracked up to be. So, but we'll see.
You know what? That is valuable insight, because I know a bunch of people that were laid off during this time, and I'm part of the backup group, which everyone here listening, you should go to National Liberty Alliance and find your backup group. There's one in every state, pretty much every county.
National Liberty Alliance?
National Liberty Alliance, and they're what's the real grand jury for the people. That's what they are. And they also do militia, and they're a great contact. And I'll tell you, that's the place that you want to go to find your committee. It's called the Committee of Safety. Okay. And so I've been involved in this for years. Wow, maybe 4 or 5 years. When I found out about Agenda 21, whatever that was, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And great people. They have a live call every Monday where they update the country or the people, and you can ask questions on their phone call at 9 o'clock every Monday, and they explain things so well. So that's a really important place for if you live in the United States. And find your own. Maybe they have international ones, because I know you have people internationally.
Yeah.
But when it comes to this period in time that we're in, because of all the crap that happened with Pelosi last week, she could be President Pelosi. That's nasty.
Yeah, that would be that would be different. That would be unexpected. That would be unexpected and not something that people would have thought about before. So, yeah.
Right. So, and Illinois is fighting to be able to search your social media before you can get a gun permit. So if you're in Chicago, Illinois, all of that, the whole state, check it out. Be on top of that, because that's when it comes to being part of the militia was called out last week to start getting in touch with your local group and start getting up to speed on what you can handle. What your area is like. You get floods, you get hurricanes, what would be, all that. So since it was called out last week across the country, that matters. That means that these guys are going to really try to do gun rights and, getting registered for this and registered for that. So it's just a moment to really stop and look at what you have in your house, no matter where you are, and just make sure you have the basics around in case we ran into trouble. And I really just wanted to say thank you. You rock. You have a great live show, and I'm so impressed that you did that texting to remind me. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for calling in as always. And I actually looked up the National Liberty Alliance, so definitely we got a chance to see what's on there. So thank you for sharing that information. So thanks for supporting and watching. Appreciate you.
Oh, and one last thing.
Yep, go ahead.
I run on National Liberty Alliance, I run Massachusetts, and I just want to tell you, if you live in Massachusetts, make plans to leave, because these people are sleeping. Massachusetts is sound asleep.
Yeah.
They have not woken up. They don't know what's happening. And so just to let you know, find out in your state if the people you have in your state are awake enough to have that safety. And if they're not, then find a state nearby that has Republican voting and has enough people there that you'll be safe. That's all.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it as always. Thank you.
Welcome.
Have a good night. Yep.
Night.
Yeah, good stuff, man. It's always good to find out what networks and what organizations are out here as viable options for people to get involved in. So appreciate that call as always. So once again, people, 1-833-LIVE-RTD. Don't be afraid to give me a call. Let me know what's on your mind. And more importantly, let's get back to the chat a little bit. I'm curious for tonight's topic. What are some things you're looking forward to in 2019? I think it's good to be optimistic on some of the things that are, out there, amongst all this dark, dirty, and dangerous and, spooky stuff. There's still a lot of things out here that God has blessed us with, because we're all blessed if we're able to watch and see and learn and be able to connect tonight. So we're definitely blessed. So there's something to be thankful for. And there's always out of every, all these troubles spells opportunity if you can see it with the right frame of mind and through the right set of eye lenses or whatever. So definitely through all this going to come unimaginable opportunity. And so from that, I think if you are open and looking, it'll be easier for you to find. So it's kind of like in the Bible verse, if you seek, you'll find. If you're aware, it might across your attention span or something of that nature. So just, trying to share a couple words of encouragement to a couple people. But what else we got going on? We got a video from Pat. I'm going to let that ride in the chat for people who want to check it out. And so we got a couple more articles in here. So what else we got here? Let's pull this up here. Open. Oh, Jeff. More bad news. It says, experts' uncertainty about Social Security's future prove one thing is certain. What is that? So Social Security is a walking time bomb. It says a lot can happen between now and 2034. If you were listening to a consensus from experts, you will hear Social Security could run out of money in about 15 years. The idea was recently addressed in a MarketWatch article. It says, as most retirees and soon-to-be retirees already know, Social Security is slated to run out of funds by 2034, and unless changes are made between now and then, beneficiaries beginning in the year will receive only 79% of what they otherwise would be owed. I would probably go so far to say that from the article we did the other night where it said that for the most part, the dollar will not be utilized on a global stage in the way it is now and by 2030. I would imagine that, whatever you're going to receive in Social Security itself will not be worth much to where you might not want to receive it. But hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Jeff from Florida. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good, Jeff. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind this evening?
Good. I was actually calling in to comment about that article that I just sent you. It said an article that the Social Security was going to be out of money by the year 2034.
Yeah.
But if you look down in the article, it says there's no money in the Social Security right now anyways. There's nothing there. So it's like this IOU. It's like this all just pieces of paper. It's like little coupons,
Yeah.
But anyways, I just wanted to call in real quick because, we've been touching a lot of topics on the government shutdown and a lot of different things going on lately.
Yeah.
I sent you a link a couple days ago, and it said something about like half of the global population live off of like $5.50 a day. And then here in America, we got people over 50% of the population living off $30,000 a year or less. And it doesn't matter what your gender or creed or race or color or religion or how many degrees you have. You're lucky if you have a job at all, and if you find one, you're making $15 an hour or less. You flip a coin, heads or tails, and you're going to get a job making $15 an hour or less. And that's gross. So we're only talking $600 a week before taxes. And after taxes, how much of that do you think you're actually bringing home?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we talked last week about 78% of the population living paycheck to paycheck. So, what I'm trying to do in the new year is, pay off bills, reduce overhead expenses, and then look at multiple different streams of income like you were talking about earlier in the show.
Yeah.
We all need to figure out ways whether you're, cutting your neighbor's lawn or you're having a yard sale or you're selling something on eBay or, whatever, picking up a newspaper route. We have to figure out ways to generate multiple streams of income outside of our regular traditional 9-to-5 job.
Right.
Because I feel like the cost of living is just going to keep going up and up and up. every single year, to the point where when you get your paycheck, you'll be lucky to even pay your light bill. It's just going to keep going up and up and up.
Yeah.
So, so that's what I wanted to call in and touch about. And what do you think is going to happen by the year 2030 when these people don't have Social Security, or they don't have Medicare or Medicaid, or these $120 trillion of unfunded liabilities that we have?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Good point there. But I think the public, especially those that are expecting and anticipating receiving those benefits, they're going to find out well before 2025, because before we even get to the liabilities aspect of our government, we're going to have to deal with some currency issues. So between now and say 2025, there's going to be a shift in our monetary structure to where the Federal Reserve note will no longer have the same level of international dominance that it does now. And so we're going to probably have two different currencies floating in this country here. And then it's going to be a matter of, if it does come to fruition, what do you receive and pay in, and what can it purchase you? And so we already know that the dollar is not working with much anyway. And so that's why you need so many dollars per hour just to basically make bare minimum. And so if stuff continues to rise inflation wise, it's going to be a currency issue, which is going to then spill out to more issues where they're going to have to reissue something else. So yeah, 2030, if we can get to 2030 without all that happening, I'm sure people will be happy to get anything, but I don't think we're going to make it that far at this current rate, especially with the fact that we got to address this debt, because we're almost at 22 trillion. And it's just a matter of time before creditors who've already come to the realization that they're not going to be repaid back, we're just basically trying to pay interest. So that's going to be something that will be definitely addressed, whether it's by us or by our creditors that decide to just cut off all types of funding of our debt. And then the Federal Reserve has to get involved, monetizing the debt, and then that's going to be inflationary in some form of factor. So, we'll see.
You can look at the U.S. debt clock. It has a running total of the unfunded liabilities and all these different of statistics on there. Yeah. But I understand what you're saying. We talk about all the time how the U.S. currency's lost like 98% of its purchasing power just in the past 100 years since 1913.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like if you can just imagine sand going out of an hourglass. We only have so much of that sand left in the hourglass, and pretty soon we're not going to have any purchasing power. Didn't you have a guest on? I don't remember if it was Lynette Zhang or one of the guests, and they were talking about the purchasing power can go sub-zero, and you can actually be below zero.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that to your attention and just wanted to get your opinion on it.
Yeah.
I'll let you go so you can finish your show. I appreciate everything you do, Mike.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for calling in.
All right.
Yep, have a good one. Yeah, man. That's real talk. That is real talk as always, Jeff. Appreciate you calling and sharing your thoughts. But yeah, definitely between now and 2023 or whatever these dates that they're giving us, we're going to have a day of reckoning, put it like that there'll be no escaping it, because we're basically living on borrowed time. And so this plays into, what are you looking forward to in 2019? Because every year the clock ticks further ahead, our country becomes more indebted, and the risk that are associated with the old model of save, invest, retire, all that conventional financial education stuff, as we get further along, this debt cycle becomes, I ain't gonna say bad advice, but it becomes somewhat outdated in the fact that, you setting aside Federal Reserve notes, that was something that was, a great option prior, definitely before the Great Recession, when you were actually able to park it in a bank and receive 4, 5, 6% or whatever it might have been at that time. I remember I had a mutual fund account and I was looking for where to park it. So I was moving it around to get the best rate. And I found something that was like 5% or something of that nature. And I remember like, man, this is nice. But then after Great Recession, I looked, it was like less than 1. I'm like, what the hell? Let me get this out of there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so those days are gone and they're not coming back. That's one thing that you can count on. We're not going to have days of being able to park funds in your conventional financial vehicles without taking some type of risk. And so that's why the risk continues to go up the more indebted we become. And there's no escaping it. There's no escaping a day of reckoning. And that's not bad. That's not doom and gloom. That's just truth. Like, you can't borrow your way to prosperity. And we're trying it. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mark. It's Eric from Texas. How are you?
How you doing, my friend? What's your name one more time?
I'm sorry, it's Eric from Texas.
Eric from
We
Texas.
spoke a few times. How are
I'm doing good, my friend. How you doing? What's some things you're looking forward to this year?
Outstanding. Well, if you didn't mind, I wanted to ask your opinion about something in particular as far as the current political situation. You know what I mean?
Yep. Go ahead.
Landscape, you know, what's going on, because I think the best of those things. And, you know, I was, when I call and I say I talk to my mom, I talk to my mom often because I don't talk to very many people, period, as it is.
Mm-hmm.
But, I wanted to opinion on a solution that I personally feel is one of the most simple that we haven't considered. And I wanted to know why maybe you would have an opinion as to why this doesn't happen. My preference is because the general populace of the U.S. will see that we don't necessarily need even half of the government that we have now.
Mm-hmm.
My solution would be if this is such an issue, so many people, we give these people so much power.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, why don't we just make it as simple as a 2-1 situation where we open polls just as we would for electing officials around the country and let the people vote? Do you want a wall? One question, 2 options. Do you want a wall? Yes, no, and let that be the answer. But like I said, I personally feel like maybe if they did that, then we would begin to see that we don't necessarily need half the government up there talking for us because we can make these. We could decide for ourselves. And before you answer, I also wanted to add that, you know, we discuss cryptocurrency at times, and I do that often, but it's not to sway anyone's opinion, but to make people more aware of the benefits of it, you know, of why we're going to use it in the future and why it's not just money.
Right.
But this is a prime example of how exactly it's going to work, because we can incorporate a coin that would allow every single American to have a vote. They wouldn't even have to leave their home to vote. You know what I mean? Everyone would register in this particular coin in for whatever vote that they wanted, and that's how we would vote. And we wouldn't even need elected officials, or you see what I'm saying? I'll leave it with that. And like I said, I was curious to know your opinion on that situation.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, so that's a great point, and I agree 100%. I think I probably touched on that before, how the blockchain could be an easy solution for giving everyone a voice to be able to cast a yay or nay from your home. And more importantly, before the blockchain became a subject matter, you know, you just grab your cell phone. Every cell phone carrier knows your entire life. Everyone who has a registered cell phone in their name can receive an emergency text. It type 1 for yes, 2 for no. And if we actually trusted the mobile carriers to do a valid count and audit of the whole total population that received the text, we can have a vote done by midnight. You know, like, you know, you got between 8 o'clock and 12 midnight to cast your vote. After that, you lose your choice. And then by tomorrow morning, they announce on the news, you know, the population, 85% voted and say no wall needed. And that'll end the conversation right there. But we all know that the objective is to create a problem for us, give us the solutions, already having provided the options, and to narrow us into the illusion of choice while everything has been chosen for us. So the wall, you know, whether we need it or not, I mean, apart from Trump suggesting it when he ran for president, like, we need a wall. So people are like, yeah, we need a wall. But if he would have said we need better regulation and better law along the borderline, that really, you know, mentioned that if you cross the borderline, you are breaking a federal law. And if and watch this, what I'm about to say. This is not considered inhumane, I don't think. Let me know if I could be wrong. But yet, if you come within 100 yards of this particular line, according to the U.S. law, you might be terminated. And so that's not being the gun line, right? Yeah, I mean, it's not just sweet and simple. Like, you know, you're breaking a law. But yet we give it to where we like to throw in the emotional side of things. You know, we have children starving and being trafficked by. But if any human being get close to that line, you broken the law. Like that alleviates a wall, but that could be too radical. So I'm gonna stop right there. But it's just that simple to lay down the law, put it in books, and enforce it. And of course, there's gonna be that one person, 2 people that gonna test it. But that should be an example for the rest of the world that we mean business, and vice versa. Like, you know, we're not trying to smuggle ourselves into Mexico, unfortunately. But if Mexico said you come close to that line, your life is on the line, then I'm like, well, damn, I'm not going to test the damn law. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me, man.
Exactly.
But
I concur, my friend.
That's just me.
I concur.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you calling, man. Thanks for your support and everything, buddy.
Me.
All right.
All right.
Yep.
Take care.
And so, yeah, so that's, I mean, I've been thinking about that for quite a while now. And, you know, I've never mentioned it before. So, you know, Eric, I appreciate you bringing that up because I would have never mentioned that. But, you know, the law is the law. Like what politicians have done a good job now, especially the liberals, they do a good job of downplaying the law and upselling the idea that there's human suffering and human. I mean, of course, that's always been the case. That's not new. It's not new right now when a wall is needed. They've been smuggling and walking across the borders since I don't know when. But yet, how about enforcing a law and making it stick? And then, of course, unfortunately, there's going to be that one or two or how many other people that you have to make an example of through the law. But that's just, you know, consequences to your actions. I mean, if word travels around below the border that, you know, they're enforcing the law that so far that we've had a couple people try to cross, but they didn't make it. That would literally deter people from even thinking about it because it wouldn't be an option. You know, alleviate the option by enforcing a law. But in the chat, man, let me know if I'm going too far with it. I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't want people to say I'm out here saying, you know, shoot and kill at the border. And I'm just saying, give them a law and set the standard for the law. So anyway, keep moving. What else we going on? Someone said the wall, no shooting. Yeah, shooting is not my first choice, but yet, you know, the thing about the monetary burden on the country to build a wall to keep out people, and then more important to keep us in, you know. So I thought back in the day, if you just enforce a law, like me as a parent, I'm gonna set the rules, I'm gonna set the standard. If you break it, I'm sorry, but you knew what the law was. But anyway. RTD, have you noticed anything about the symbols that represent some of these cryptos? Crypto Greece, I have not, man. Share with us a couple cryptos and what are your interpretations and thoughts of them. I haven't really gone into it much. So we got a video here from Typo. When the world fares, here's why. For the sake of not wanting any copyright strikes or whatever, I'm not going to click on that. But if anybody's interested, definitely take a look at that. And so share with me some of your thoughts. Says, what if young kids cross the line? We really think U.S. soldiers will shoot them. Purple Sky Awakening, man. I hope that wouldn't come. I hope that wouldn't be the case. And so that's the fine line of having a law and enforcing it. But yet, you know, you have to work with the Mexican government to make sure that they're doing a good job of promoting the law that is set on the other side of the fence. That as a Mexican citizen or whoever you are crossing through Mexico, that if you cross that threshold, you're in territory considered an enemy combatant / terrorist, and those terrorist lines there, nothing good will come from going through those terrorist lines. If we want to just be, you know, specific, so that mile wide stretch that's more than enough to see that red line. If you cross that red line, you know it's I'm gonna leave it at that. But that's where our politicians and just our overall why we can never have justice in this world, because we can't enforce anything because we're so concerned with special interest and not offending people and making sure everyone is inclusive, to where we have to adjust and maneuver laws. And so if laws are changeable because of somebody's feelings or somebody's somebody feeling excluded from, you know, the freedom of being and expressing themselves and, you know, whatever that you want to sell us, then how are we going to have anything stable to stand on? So we're floating according to the trends and the times. You know, is there any excuse as to why there's nothing that is sound in this country, how this country has lost its greatness, in my opinion? And for those that have traveled and been outside the country and stayed a little bit of an extended stay in other countries, a lot of people don't really, depending on what country, if it's another developed country, they don't envy us like second and third world countries do. A lot of countries laugh at us because we're so, we're not setting a good example for being the leader of the free world, put it like that. So I'll leave it at that. It says, all I got to say is Area 51. Yeah, and so hopefully one day we find out the truth and all the details of what's in Area 51, but it's good to say I don't think we will. But you never know. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Anybody there? Going once, going twice. Sold. Give me a call back. Excuse me, we get you on here. And so, talking about law, talking about a line, talking about consequences of a line, we gotten away from some of the primary subjects. So far I've heard a couple good, interesting things that people are excited about. Some people said save money. Some people said prepare. Some people said learn a canned good. Some people said, multiple streams of income. Any other skills out there that anybody plan on dipping and dabbling in this year? Let me know what type of skills, because definitely, there's going to be some new skills that will be needed in the days ahead because of automation and everything that comes along with that. So those are all things that could be options for people. Not sure. I said grow hemp, stash cryptos. All righty. All right. Immigrants not by chance are being used in NWA attack the U.S. Man. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Man, I know I got you there. Hello, caller. You there? Anybody? Going once, going twice. All righty. So let me see here. It's not working for whatever reason, and I don't think it's my speaker, but as always, what I like to do is just switch it up a little bit, go to a bigger speaker. So give me a call back. We get you on here. Apologize for the inconvenience. It says, how you go shoot when you sign an agreement with the UN Agreement Act. Tony Blaylock, I didn't sign an agreement. You know what I'm saying? Maybe our government signed one for us, but I personally didn't. I don't know what you're talking about. Tony, I don't know what you're talking about. You got the wrong person. That's the type of ignorance I play. Like, whatever. I'm just defending my grounds. Trump only wants $5.7 billion out of $1.5 trillion budget, and this is the Democrats who won't spend more money. Man, I gotta get this fixed. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, it's Leroy from South Carolina.
I'm sorry. You say Leland?
No, Leroy. Let me turn my speaker off.
Oh, okay. Leroy from South Carolina. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, Mike. I enjoy your show. Appreciate all the work you do for the community.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you for calling in. What's on your mind? What are you looking forward to this year? Let's start off with that. Let's get some solutions and some options out there on what you're looking forward to.
Well, to be honest, I'm looking for about the same. I don't think 2019 will be any different than 2018 or 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So the same old political posturing will be going back and forth. But
yeah,
I do got a question I could shoot out to you and to the audience.
Yeah, go ahead.
I heard a lot of people talking about this helicopter money or this universal income.
Yeah.
People saying it's going to be happening.
Universal
and
basic allowance.
Do they really believe?
Uh-huh.
Okay, number one, they say the Fed will do it. The Federal Reserve is just a private bank. There is no way they will give free money to the American people. If they want to bail out banks, which all QE was, that's one thing, because they're bankers helping out banks. They're not going to make money out of thin air and give it to you and me. And then the Treasury would be another option. Do you really think this government running almost a $2 trillion annual debt, you think they're just going to give out money, or anybody, you think they're just going to print money and give it to the citizens? I just don't see that ever happening.
Okay, so I can see where you're coming from. And so first thing came to mind when you mentioned the Federal Reserve printing and just giving out. I believe that an option would be what I would recommend that they do if they asked me what's the best way to get money to the hands of the people. I would say simply you just funnel it. You just funnel it through the hands of the people in the form of some type of tax credit, or everybody instead of filing taxes, you're going to get a refund check. You're going to get a TARP check. Or remember the bail-in with the cars? You got a car credit or something like that? That was from the government. So I can see the Federal Reserve giving every citizen, $2,000-$3,000, which which you'll deposit into you'll get a check in the mail. You'll deposit it in your bank account for it to be cashed. Hence, the 3 or 4 trillion that's just been monetized from nowhere goes into the bank. So now it's in the banking sector. So now they got a fresh 3 trillion out of nowhere in their bank account. You're going to keep a little bit there, and you're going to swipe your credit card more than likely. So it's going to be parked in the banks, and then they can take that and do some fractional reserve lending, turn your 3,000 into 30,000, and now they just got $9 trillion out of nowhere. So I mean, that's a pretty good bargain for them, just to give you a piece of paper, you deposit it, they keep a little bit, you swipe your card, and, you know, you pay off your debts. You do all you got to do, but they still got a fresh stack of digits in their account thanks to this universal basic allowance that was funneled through the hands of the people to make it look like it was in your best interest. But we all know who's going to end up with it at the end. So that's one option that would be worthwhile, that everybody would get excited about, because who wouldn't mind getting a check? They don't know what it's going to do to them, though, but they wouldn't mind getting a check. And then when it comes to the government, yeah, go ahead.
One thing I like to say about, though, is, you know, when you see Edward G. Griffin speak, you know, he wrote that book about Jekyll Island.
Yeah.
He makes a very valid point. The Federal Reserve, one, you know, they're not even a government agency. They act like they are, and they really, you know, are like another arm of the government.
Yeah.
But they're an independent bank. They're just a bank.
Yeah.
They do not care about you and me. They do not care. And QE had nothing to do with the economy because they bought mortgage-backed securities and they monetized the debt of the federal government. It had nothing to do with the economy. Banks were insolvent. They had trash on their balance sheets. They just paid them top dollar for their garbage and gave the banks new money.
Yeah.
It was just a backdoor bailout. There's just no way these bankers are just going to create money and give it to the general public. They're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
That's just my take on it.
Right.
They don't care about you and me. They don't care about the economy. All they care about is the banks, keeping the banks, you know, solvent, which is a pretty hard job.
Right, but watch this. I agree 100%. They don't care, but they don't have to care, because the end goal to anything they do is going to be advertised and promoted as, and then Jerome Powell can go to Congress and to the White House and say, you know, we're going to, you know, expand our balance sheet. We got 3.9 or 4 trillion on it now. We're going to add another 3, and then what we're going to do is we're going to inject it into the Americans' hands. This is the American stimulus package. This is for the people. The people need this. You know what I'm saying? So this is coming straight for our American people, because they're hardworking. They devoted, and they've got whatever they can sell you on. And I guarantee you, once the CNN, Fox, MSNBC go across the stage that, you know, due to the market situation, stock market just dipped. The Federal Reserve is about to, you know, with the approval of Congress, they're about to inject an American, you know, they gotta be patriotic, the Patriot stimulus package for the people. And 300 million people. 300 million people will say.
It sounds good, and you're trying to think that public pressure will have the Federal Reserve cave in and do this. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
I mean, they won't even let you audit them.
Yeah.
And then when Congress talks about audit them, then they put pressure on it. They give, of course, however they bribe politicians nowadays. Yeah. I don't know, put money into your campaign fund or something.
Yeah.
Well, you can't even audit the Fed, let alone say, hey, why don't you give $3 trillion to the American people?
Yeah.
There's just no way to it. This is my opinion, Rick.
Right.
I respectfully disagree. I just like to know what other people would think about that, too. I just don't see it ever happening. I mean, the Treasury, that's different. They could, you know, possibly find some way. You know, another thing, too,
you can do it through the Treasury.
About the wall.
Watch this. The Federal Reserve, the Treasury could, you know, Congress, through the Treasury, it's going to happen through Congress anyway. Congress will get approval. We need $3 trillion for the American Patriot Stimulus Act. And they're going to send that check to Mnuchin. Mnuchin going to sign it. He going to then put in the envelope. He going to walk it over to the Federal Reserve, give it to Jerome Powell and say, here, we need a loan. We need $3 trillion directly to the Congress. And then they're going to put it in the bank account of the United States government. The government then going to send you a check. It's going to say United States government, American Patriot Stimulus Act, Executive Order 11112, $3,000 to every citizen in America to stimulate the economy again, to get the engines rolling. We need growth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, that would work, but the only exception is the government would then have to make $3 trillion of new bonds.
They're gonna do it anyway. They're gonna do it anyway.
I don't know if there's a.
It's coming.
I don't know if there's a big enough. How many bonds can we sell? I mean, that
you can sell.
They're rolling off their balance sheet, and the Fed's their government's putting a new trillion out. I just don't think that the China and Russia
they don't have to
pension funds.
They don't have
to buy these.
They don't have to. They're not, and they don't have to, because when you have a printing press that, as of now, still carries some weight around this world, $3 trillion, an additional $3 trillion. Is one round of stimulus at minimum. So that's easy. The question that will be then, how will that interfere with the current amount of currency in circulation? And we all know if it gets into the public's hands and it gets into the Main Street economy, prices will have to rise. And so I would imagine it's going to be injected to the stock market, into the crypto sector second, and then into some other asset classes like gold and silver before it hits Main Street. Because once it hit Main Street, when your gas price goes to $15 like it is in Zimbabwe, or a loaf of bread is $10, it's over with. So I think there's going to be some. It's going to be some asset.
But Mike,
yeah, go ahead.
That would have to be a loan, though. If Mnuchin goes to the Fed Reserve, give us a loan. That's so. Anytime the government does anything, we have to then issue bonds. If the Federal Reserve now, when they did QE, they just simply, I know, let's create money out of thin air and let's help ourselves, right? And but we'll, in the disguise, we're doing it for the economy. So they bought half treasuries because the government was insolvent. Then they bought half mortgage-backed securities because the banks were insolvent.
Yeah.
And then once they sell these bonds, which they're doing now, they're not selling the mortgage-backed securities because no one's going to buy the garbage. And then they take that check, and I think they deposit it in the treasury, or they just delete it. But anytime the government does anything, we have to take out debt. The American citizens own the central bank so much money, the Federal Reserve. You know, they just own stuff. And like I said, I just don't see these bankers giving a crap about me and you, and because they would have to eat that $3 trillion.
Yeah.
Now, if the government did that and said, all right, we will issue bonds, $3 trillion worth of new treasury bills, then that's one way of doing it. But then you'd have to do it every single year, too. And, you know, now you're talking, you know, $40 trillion debt, you know, $100 trillion debt. And sooner or later, these foreign countries are just not going to buy our treasury bills anymore. The pension funds aren't going to buy our treasury bills. They're going to say this government's insolvent. There's no way they'll ever pay it back.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I agree 100%. And so my thing is, I would be willing to say that it is a certainty that there will be more funny money injected into the economy in the days ahead, as opposed to the national debt and any of those other liabilities going down as far as us paying them off. So it's guaranteed that we're going to go up still. Now it's just a question that we can go back and forth on how it's going to go up, the national debt and Social Security, all them other expenditures are going to go up because that's how our system is created. Is designed that way. It'll never go down. And as it goes up, we're all going to experience what's going to be the end result of all this, which will be the end of national currencies as we know it. So, but hey, my man, I appreciate you calling, boss. Thanks for tuning in, man. Thanks for the back and forth.
Yes, thank you, Mike.
All right, have a good one. Yeah, man, that was some good stuff, man. It's exciting somewhat to be able to go back and forth and just off the top of your head talk about what could be. How are you going to make this work? Because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We all know that having 3 rounds of QE and all the other things set the standard for what will be needed next time. So everyone, I'm assuming, would agree that some stimulus is coming. The question is, who and how are they going to stimulate first? It's going to end up in the banks because it has to. But would it go to the American people's hand? Would it go to another asset class to inflate it? We know we got the stock bubble, the housing bubble, the student loan bubble, the credit card bubble. We got those bubbles. That's where everything has been going thus far. Corporate debt is extremely high, problematic. So I would imagine we can see metals. It'd be great to see asset prices increase in metals and cryptos. That would be 2 in between things to get people's attention off a ailing economy. Because if people feel a little bit more richer because there's the nominal value and the metals is go up, this channel will be booming because everybody gonna be talking about, hey Mike, you see how high the gold price is today? You see how high the silver price just went above $50 an ounce? You see crypto, Bitcoin hit $50,000 a day. It'd be a mania of people excited to where they're not gonna even realize what got it to that point because we probably just came off some stimulus. And then as all that stuff spins and people spend it, it's going to be inflationary in and of itself. So we got a front row seat to the unraveling of the biggest debt Ponzi based scheme in human history, in my opinion. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike, Tim, Colorado.
Tim, was that you trying to call in a while ago?
Yeah, that's fine.
I apologize, my friend.
Some kind of technical difficulties or whatever. But hey, you've had some great callers on tonight, and you got, a bunch of great people participating.
Thank you, sir.
And all I wanted to say was the last caller was great, but I agree with you. All they got to do, they're going to go helicopter money because the quantitative easing isn't helping with the public's perception. So they're just going to give it to us like cash for clunkers that you referred to, and then it's going to put on our bills. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't doubt it. And so, I mean, like the details of how can be, who would ever thought that we would had monetary easing and then have monetary tightening to follow. And then, all this stimulus, or just these words, I would have never imagined. I wasn't too monetarily savvy 10 years ago, but I would have never imagined that we would have these type of words being invented to compensate for the incompetency of our monetary forces that be. So, yeah, man, that's where we at. We'll see.
But you got to admit, it's some interesting vocabulary that they come up with.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Sorry, 2. Remember how? Imagine you created this system, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you taper a Ponzi scheme?
You can't.
You can't.
It has to go on. It has to go on to the end.
But they're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, they're keeping us. They're keeping this thing afloat, and it's easy to do, in my opinion, when you don't know how things work behind the scenes, as far as being able to audit and see the books. Because I'm surprised no one's mentioned the 21 trillion that's missing. And so I always mention
but no, that's national security.
Yeah,
we can't talk about that.
21 trillion that's missing is just what we are told based upon an audit done by the Skidmore guy, the Dr. Skidmore. But if he had access to more files and more data, he would probably see that it'd be 48 trillion or more. Because who knows?
It's way past that. It's way past that. And that's not even taking into account derivatives.
Yeah.
This whole Ponzi scheme is so big. But, what I'm worried about is the complete control system of 1984 and what they're doing in China, Mike. You referred to it the other night. That's actually more important than the economics. Yeah. Except, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only way to end this system, right? Because they're controlling the world through energy and they're controlling it through currency.
Right.
And until this system fails, which we're probably not going to come out of well, but assuming that it did, the only chance for our success as far as human beings, which has never happened almost, that we have sound money. And until there's sound money, they can buy the world. They buy the world.
Yeah. They can do it at no additional cost to them whatsoever. So it's basically it's a great system for them. It works well. I mean, it works well for them, I'm assuming. So, but yeah, man. But hey, Tim, appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for calling in, buddy.
Well, spread the information because you're doing the right thing, and I appreciate it. And love everybody out there.
Appreciate you, boss. Thank you. Yeah, man. So that's what it is, man. That was what it is. Last caller. So as always, people, we about to wind this thing down. And so, as always, I want to encourage you guys, if you have been enjoying the back and forth, whether you just logged on, whether you've been on the whole time, don't be afraid to hit the thumbs up button, just so more people can come across this channel, join the community, and stay connected and entertained as well as educated on what's happening. And so, it's always good to throw out scenarios on what could be, what might not be. And so, I didn't get a chance to get as many, what things are you looking forward to as I would have liked. And so, I can just share with you briefly what comes to my mind of things I'm looking forward to. So as I mentioned, first off, really focusing on, passive income, multiple streams of income and various things according to my gifting and my creativity. And the second one is I'm working on, I'm really, as I mentioned a while back, I'm really into quantum physics. I just finished a great book. And so I'm learning a lot about the neuroscience and neural mapping of the mind. And so that stuff really has me excited. So and I'm real big on personal development. So right now I'm doing a lot of things, working on my mental state. In preparation for the days ahead, wanting to be able to control my inner game as opposed to just focus on this outer world that is subject to stuff that's outside my control. I can't control that, but I can control what's in here. So that's the second thing I'm excited about, to work on different exercises and get better with that. And then more importantly, traveling. I love to travel, so I got a couple of things on my mind of places I want to go and people I want to reconnect with all around the world places I've been before. So definitely, man, I got a lot of things I'm looking forward to, and more importantly, as one of the callers mentioned, taking advantage of the great opportunity now to still have a currency that's respected around the globe that allow me to do some of those things. And so definitely allocating a good, portion of what I need to allocate into something that I believe will have long-term value and that will appreciate throughout time due to just, monetary practices. Like I'm in a firm belief that as a person that's aware, just being aware of things happening around us, it doesn't take a lot of action from a financial standpoint, especially to preserve and to prepare yourself for the days ahead, just because it's a guarantee that our monetary system and our financial system is imploding. As I always mentioned, they're colliding right now because of debt. So one thing you want to be aware of is you don't want to be caught in the middle of this implosion in reference to what's used as the primary tool or weapon for this, which is a Federal Reserve note. Or if you're in Argentina, a peso. If you're in Europe, a euro. And so, getting out of their Ponzi scheme as much as you can, limiting your exposure to the risk through those instruments and putting it into what has been considered historical sound money, and then being knowledgeable enough and taking the risk of wanting to speculate in some opportunities, you're putting your own future in your own hands, which in my opinion will be better than trusting a computer algorithm that you just deducted from your check, or a financial advisor that's certified from the same bank that's causing the problems anyway, type of thing. And so that's all my opinion. But a couple of things I want to leave you guys with. So as well, don't be afraid to hit the thumbs up button. Do that for me real quick. And if anybody want to support the channel, I have options up here. I would love support via membership, via Patreon, or your boy do accept Bitcoin. So I got a little logo up there if you want to bless your boy that way. And then also, more importantly, what I want to do, if I got any of my Detroit people on, if I got any Detroit people on right now, give me a thumbs up real quick so that I know you're watching. I know you feel me. And so what I'm looking to do is next week, I put it out there, and as you guys can see on this side right here, there's this meetup. I'm looking to have my first meetup. I've been promising it for a while. Haven't really put forth effort to do it, but I'm looking to do it now. So next Wednesday, I'm working on where, how, when, but I need to make sure there's people that's going to come, because I don't want to put forth effort and energy into something and I'm there by myself, and no one's there. So that being the case, I want to make sure you guys connect with me, and I'm actually going to pull up on the screen now so you can see what I'm talking about. Where we at? Here we go. So I'll pull this up here. And so if any of my Detroit people are watching this, go to the community page and you'll get instructions here. But if you're interested in coming next Wednesday evening, sometime, I ain't set the time, but it's on Wednesday evening, shoot your boy an email, or better yet, I'm gonna inform the email list. So go to rethinkingthedollar.com and you can get notified. And so I want to encourage you, if you want to get notified for these live talks or just any impromptu talks I might do in the future, go to Rethinking the Dollar page, and then you can just click on this yellow tab right above here, put your email in there, and it's all going to be related to just, the news, or I'm working on a newsletter as well. So I'll keep you in tune that way so you can stay connected. And so the reason I'm doing this, and I have to do this, because as you see tonight, we had maybe 100 people or so, of which last week, it was increasing to 400. I think it was at 300 one time. And so it lets me know that people are interested, but they're not being notified. And that's nothing I can do other than provide options for you guys to get plugged in. And then for those that are interested, another option right here, you can see I set up a little text thing here. So if you text RTD to 31996 from your cell phone, you'll be added to a text mail list. And as some people mentioned in the chat today, I shot them a text and they knew I sent the link. So you just click it and you watch. So email or the text, and the text probably won't last long because it's expensive. It's more expensive than I'm willing to pay for it by myself. So I won't be doing this long, but for those that get in now, it'll be an option for you to use. So that's what's going on. I want to keep you guys informed. As always, be blessed, be safe, and I'll see you guys later. I might do some impromptu stuff this weekend if the stuff come across my mind. But once again, Tony said give the number. The number is text RTD to 31996. Text RTD to 31996. It's an automated process, and then I'll connect with you via text that way. So just some options to get people involved. And I'm not sure from the stream how many people actually connected and got a chance to get notifications. I know I didn't get notifications. This is the third night in a row I'm subscribed to my own channel and I'm not getting notified. So we got a call. I'll take this last call and then we'll call it in for the night. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Let me try this again. I'll try it from a different source and see if we get a better reception. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Anybody there? Going once? Going twice? Sold. So phone lines are off. I apologize. Connect with me next week and we'll get you on here. And I'm working on some guests. I haven't had some guests on like I typically do because I've been more so just enjoying spending time with you guys personally, and not necessarily having people on, but going to have some people coming up soon, and we go from there. And so Tony says he didn't get a notification. And so that's the thing, like, why they hating on the player? I don't know. They don't want me to help people out, and they don't want this thing to grow. That's what it is. But I'm not mad at them. They got a lot to lose if this thing grows. So anyway, but it's been fun as always. Be blessed, be safe. I'll see you guys later. Peace.